What's up, everyone? Episode 23 of the Vision Board Podcast. As always, I'm Tristan Cannell, Johnny Stofko.
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today?
We've got special guest today, Alex Chambers. This is a bit of a special one for Johnny. Alex is actually the cousin of Johnny's girlfriend, and they have quite a relationship.
Yeah, Alex is a friend of mine. She is a professional fighter, amongst other titles. Very talented young woman. Astro Girl, so I'm excited to talk about her career in MMA.
The word number one. That's right, the number one.
Yeah. Number one. She's a first in a lot of different categories. So it's one thing to talk about a friend and also a fan, but it's good to get their personal opinion of themselves. So I've never really sat down on the record with Alex and chatted about it, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, it'll be a new experience for you too, so I think it'll be great. But just a quick shout out to you guys. Thank you, as always, for subscribing. There's been up to, I think, 62 reviews so far on iTunes, which is just outstanding. So we've got, we're well ahead of shows that have been there for years. So really big thank you for the guys and girls that have been sharing the love.
Yeah, I think it was about 12 weeks ago when we wrote down some goals and some visions for promoting the show and the progression of which direction the show would go. And I think we used the number 50 for our first 6 months. We were shooting to get 50 reviews, 50 subscriptions, and we surpassed that. So let's keep the momentum going and keep supporting the movement, keep supporting the cause. We'll keep bringing the A game.
Thank you, guys. So just, if you don't know what to do, just hit the search button in your podcast app and just type the Vision Board Podcast. There'll be a little section that says reviews. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button, reviews. Just leave us a quick review. We always want to hear feedback. If you don't want to, look, if you've already put a review in and you've got some feedback for us, we want to hear from you as well. So info@thevisionboardpodcast.com.
Yeah, I just had a Skype with a fan. Actually, he lives in the States, in Michigan, and he requested in my email if we chat, and we chatted about some ideas. I said hello, got to meet the dude. He's in fitness. What's up, Ron? And it was pretty cool, actually, because I ended up getting to chat with him right before we did a interview, so it gave me some good momentum. So shout out to Ron.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. Really appreciate your support, and keep those feedback coming on, because I know Johnny invited me, showed it to me.
Like that.
I love that as well, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, big major announcement today.
Yeah, you're going to drop the bomb on him?
I'm going to drop the bomb.
Okay,
so
let's get it
we've got a brand new major sponsor. They're international. Their name is Populous.
Yeah, so Populous is it's going to be a major sponsor of ours. What Populous is a boutique international management consulting company. They specialize in helping businesses transform, take their specific ideas and implement them in these businesses and help them take the next step into growth.
Yeah, Populous is a great company. They really emphasize that importance of leadership, and realistically, they have a huge track record. They create business culture, they've got happiness programs, and this has led to substantial revenue growth for their clients.
Yeah, it's really important to have, in regards to any successful relationship, any successful business, the same like-minded people on board. And with Populous, they're led by 3 industry seasoned executives. They all collectively have over 60 years of experience, and this experience spans the globe: Australia, Asia, and North America, and companies such as BlackBerry, Samsung, and Telstra. So these guys are heavy hitters. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, check them out, www.populous, which is spelled Populis.com.au. They've also got something called the Leadership Show, which they've got in both audio and video. So check it out on iTunes, SoundCloud, and also YouTube. They showcase a little bit different to us. They're targeting more the CEOs and also things across beliefs, and things like that sort of angle with just leaders.
Yeah, spiritual leaders, high-end CEOs. Basically, the episodes that I've watched and listened to, I've really taken ideas and taken notes during those episodes. So we're really excited about teaming up with them and watching where they progress into the future.
Yeah, so big shout out to Populous for coming on board, and you'll hear a lot more about them in the coming episodes.
Yep.
Okay, so now, without further ado, we've got Alex Chambers.
Astro Girl.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.
All right, our special guest today is Alex Chambers. Alex is the first female Australian signed in the UFC. She's a third-degree black belt in karate, a pioneer for the sport. Not to be outdone, she's quite the scholar too. She's done a double degree in science and mechatronics engineering from the University of Sydney. We welcome Alex Chambers. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Nah, it's awesome to have you here. We obviously love your work. I know that you and Johnny are quite close back home, so he's very excited to have you on.
Alex is like, it's interesting when you outside of somebody to see, we never understand how other people look at us. Like for Alex, it's just Alex, but it's cool to see her in the last couple of years doing what she's doing. So I'm excited about it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Alex, you've just been to Las Vegas. We were just chatting about it. We wanted to know a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about the awards that you went to over the weekend.
Yeah, so there were the World MMA Awards that's done by Fighters Only magazine. And my gosh, I didn't realize what a huge deal they were. I knew that they were a pretty big deal, so I was stoked to get a nomination. But it wasn't until I was there that I realized, how big a deal it actually was. There was the red carpet, there were heaps of camera people. It was done at the Venetian.
Nice.
So it was, it was actually really well done. They had some kind of shows from the Jabberwockies and what else? Absinthe, which are big shows in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So it was great to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, Alex, when you say nominated, a couple of questions. How many different categories, if you can remember, and then which one were you nominated for?
There weren't too many categories. It wasn't like the Oscars where there's little things for, I don't know,
Costumes.
camera person, all of that sort of stuff. There maybe 10, I don't know, 12, something like that. It wasn't too many.
Yeah. And which one were you nominated for? Was it submission?
I was nominated for a comeback of the year.
Okay. Yeah, so I was reading about that. I know for instance, the NFL, they have I wasn't sure if the comeback of the year was a comeback in a specific fight or a comeback, you have a guy or a girl who has been out and then comes back and wins. Was it for your fight against Kylan?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at that fight.
Yeah,
that was gnarly. We'll touch base on that later.
That's definitely. Who ended up winning the awards, Alex, for both the female and male side?
Oh, for the female fighter of the year, it was Holly Holm. She won 4 awards on the night.
All right. And
just on the night, actually. And the male fighter of the year was Conor McGregor.
Awesome.
there's a video going around. Was this the same award show that McGregor had the video and he called out? So,
yes.
Yeah. So Alex, guys, if you're listening, Alex is in South Florida. We're in Sydney. If there is a disconnect, we'll just call you right back. We're getting this little icon popping up that says like Signal Week. But so with that video, McGregor, you guys are sitting there. It's a really dark and ominous video. How was that taken from the crowd? Like, was it a joke, or were people kind of like, what was the sentiment with the people you were with?
I mean, I was laughing at everything during the night. I thought everything was actually pretty funny. And so I always laugh at Conor McGregor's stuff. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It was typical Conor McGregor. So, you know, I didn't think anyone should be shocked by what they saw or heard. I thought it was cool.
Awesome. Alex, just with all the competing teams being in the same place at the same time, do you guys all hang out together, or like much socially, or do you just hang out with your own team?
By competing teams, do you mean like competing gyms?
Yeah, all the different competing gyms, obviously being in the same roof at the same time. Is it a little bit awkward, or is it kind of you guys all get along outside of the octagon?
No, I mean I don't think that. You know, there's huge rivalries between gyms, but rather maybe between certain people. I get along with everyone. You know, I guess, nearly everyone. And so if I know the girls from other gyms in my weight division, and it was great to see them. I loved seeing them again.
That's awesome. So the event, the MMA Awards, World MMA Awards, it wasn't hosted, it wasn't sponsored by the UFC. Was it, in your opinion, I don't know if you know this for sure, so it was just a coincidence or good marketing, or was it set up by Dana to have that event the day after? Was that or do you know if that was organized or if that was just how it always is?
I don't think that it had anything to do, I don't think that had anything to do with the UFC. I think the timing of it would have been chosen by Fighters Own, who organised the awards. I think they would have, put it on the day before the event, knowing that there were going to be a lot of people, a lot of fighters, coming and watching the event the next day.
Yeah, I was thinking, I wanted to message you, but I knew you were in Vegas. But there's pictures. I've seen pictures of Alex when you're like a kid and you're in your karate. Is it called a karate? I've never done karate. Uniform?
Yeah,
What, gi? What? I know the judo guys.
We call it a gi.
Okay, yeah.
Like judo.
Yeah. So you have guys in the UFC. I'll speak from the male's perspective. I know Lyoto. He was a really famous, became world champion with a karate background. What's your take on the matchup watching Steve Thompson, Wonder Boy versus Hendricks? Because going into it, I know a lot of people weren't choosing Thompson to win that fight. Did you enjoy?
I usually would always go for the karate guy or girl.
Yeah. Were you at
with this one, Yep.
Go on.
With this one, I do a regular blog for Unibet Australia, who is a sponsor of the UFC, and so I did a blog on that particular fight, Hendricks versus Thompson. I would usually have gone with the karate guy or girl, but I went against my gut with that, because Hendricks had never been knocked out or finished. So I thought he'd been looking fit going into that fight, and I thought he would grind out a 5-round win. But anything can happen in MMA, and that's why it's, the biggest sport or sport in the world, because it is so exciting. So I was actually really happy to see Thompson win.
Awesome.
Go the karate specialist.
Alex, just to backtrack on what you said about, obviously you got a big background in karate. Who was the one that was it yourself that wanted to take up MMA? Was there something that influenced you to go down that path?
Yeah, I had actually been watching it on TV, and also I started cross-training in other martial arts to help with my karate, because I was competing internationally, and I wanted to take it, get a little bit more serious. So I started cross-training. One of my coaches at the time, she was a big kickboxer, and she also knew some ground stuff too. She had showed me, in training for a particular karate event, she showed me some arm bars just for a bit of fun and things like that. And I was like, hooked from then on. And so I knew it was something that I wanted to do, but I had this karate competition to focus on. And then unfortunately I broke my arm pretty badly in that karate competition. So I had these huge plans to get into MMA, but I broke my arm badly, and it took me, after that break, 4 years to for it to be okay enough to compete. So, I did get into MMA training. I started learning jiu-jitsu, but I was having operations in that 4 years. I had a few operations done on my arm because of complications, but I did what I could. I trained around the injury, so I, was doing jiu-jitsu, but all I could do was focus on what I could do, even though I had a dodgy arm at the time.
But yeah, so I'm a big fan of firsts, and hindsight is always 20/20. So if anyone's listening, they don't know Alex. So Alex is the first ever female women's fighter in the UFC. You're a pioneer of the sport. When you're talking about the break, was this? How old was this when this happened to you? Was this you were overseas, right?
Yeah, I was overseas. That happened in 2004.
Okay. So in 2004, could you ever vision, 10 plus years from that moment, being in the MGM Grand, the Mecca? You have names like Tyson, Holyfield, De La Hoya, Mayweather, Pacquiao, and you shared a space with these, ghosts of legends. In 2004, when you hurt that arm, like looking back, how crazy is this ride been for you?
Yeah, really crazy. And no, for sure, back in 2004, there was no way I, thought about any of that. Women weren't in the UFC back then. There wasn't even Invicta, which is, the biggest women's promotion for mixed martial arts in the world.
Yep.
I guess the only goals I could set for myself was obviously getting over my injury and learning as much as I could. And there were women's mixed martial arts promotions in Japan. So that's kind of as high as I could set my sights. And that's what I did. I went when I was feeling a little bit better and had done some training in 2008. I went to Japan and trained with Megumi Fuji, who at the time was, considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. She was undefeated and obviously the best strawweight women's fighter in the world. So that definitely went a long way in inspiring me to step into the cage and have my first pro MMA fight.
Awesome. Alex, when did the UFC come knocking? Was it something of a surprise to you, or was it something you've been told they were looking at you, and then after a big fight, they obviously came calling?
No, it was a huge surprise, let me tell you. Obviously, I'd been signed by Invicta after my my 42-second win on the all-women's brace main card in Australia against Mika Nagano from Japan. She had had nearly 20 professional MMA fights at the time, so that was a big win for me. And so Invicta had signed me after that, and I had my fight on Invicta, which I won in my seconds, Jodie Escobar, who I believe is undefeated since then. So she's doing really well. Then how did the UFC come about? I mean, I was preparing for a fight against Ham, who's fighting. Actually, she's now signed to the UFC. But at the time, I had signed a contract to fight her in Korea on Road FC, the Korean promotion. And I was getting a doctor's appointment and my phone started going off. And I'm like, well, what's going on with this? But I had to switch it off. Then after my appointment, I turned my phone back on and I had, something like 100 or 200 notifications on my personal Facebook account. And I had all these messages and I thought, gee, what's going on with this? And I had some messages and people had said to me, oh, congratulations on signing with the UFC. And I said, what? What? This is some hoax. I replied to a few of my friends and said, this is some hoax. This is the first I've ever heard of this. This is just one of those things that, happens on the internet. Don't believe what you see. I'll talk to you later. But then it turns out my coach at the time ended up calling me and said that he got a call from the UFC and that they, wanted me to be on the Ultimate Fighter. And how could you say no to that? I mean, the UFC calls you up and says they want you to be on the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, what a huge opportunity it was. I was really excited. I just couldn't believe it.
Alex, that was the first ever season with all women, correct?
Yeah, so they had done season 18 with Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate as coaches. They had done a season with women, but it was only eight women and 8 men. But season 20, the season I was on, was the first all-women season, and also the first season where the two finalists would fight for the belt. So it was introducing the strawweight women's division into the UFC, and the winner would be crowned the champion.
Yeah, they always say about life, timing is everything. And we've, in the last 20 minutes talking to Alex, we've said firsts a lot. First fighter. I was there. It was one of the coolest times. We were in Adelaide. Alex was fighting Kaylin Curran. And I want to talk a little bit about that moment. So I'm reading a lot about, Alex, you've read about like the flow state. A lot of fighters are now looking into this, and not just fighters, artists, writers, singers, about this mental state of being able to achieve to where you're just in you're just achieving your most full potential while you're in it. So watching you fight against Kaylin, I was with, I had your family surrounded, and they couldn't even watch. And the whole time I kept saying, I was like, let her get through this round, get to the next round, get to the next round. And then everyone who's listening knows how that fight ended. Do you even remember that moment when you transitioned, you got her, in the submission, and then your arm was raised? Talk a little bit about what was going through when I forgot who was reffing, but who held your arm, announcing you were the winner. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, so it was Steve Percival, an Australian ref, who was reffing my fight. And I think you're talking about the zone, right?
Yeah.
Athletes refer to it as the zone, that mental state where everything comes together, you're in the moment, and yeah. That's the ideal state of any athlete. That's what we all want to achieve, in our sport. So the moment, I do remember the moment that I had the Kimura. I was listening to my corner and just listening to what they were saying. I knew that, I had to win in that round because I was obviously behind 2 rounds. I thought the first round was a little bit close, but I knew that, I had to pull out a win in that 3rd round. So I had the Kimura. Obviously, I didn't want to let go. And then I do remember the transition to the armbar. Just the opportunity presented itself, and it was, a quick transition. And I remember listening to my corner. They said, curl your heels down, which is what you've got to do in an armbar. And then as soon as I curled my heels down, bam, she postured up, which is, something you shouldn't do in an armbar, but things happen in a fight, and then there was the tap, and gosh, yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it was a great moment.
The place went crazy, and when the UFC, they were showing the highlights of the fights, you could hear Eleni in the background going crazy, screaming that high-pitched voice after you won that fight. That was awesome.
Was that your career highlight to date? Obviously, being on home soil, a big victory. You've had a few moments, obviously, between Las Vegas and Japan, and coming back home, big win over Curran. Is that pretty much your highlight so far, Alex?
Yeah, I would have to say for sure to fight for the UFC, the biggest promotion in the world, and in my home country, in front of a home crowd, and to pull off a win, after having to come back after not feeling well, feeling great in the fight. It was, I would have to say that would be my career highlight so far.
Another first for that one. Became the first ever Australian female to get a fight of the night bonus during that one. So there's a lot of firsts behind your name when all is said and done, which is pretty rad. Not many people could say that.
Yes, definitely. Alex, let's talk a little bit about American Top Team. Was it last year you moved over there, or was it the year before?
We're in 2016 now, so yeah, it was last year.
Can you just talk a little bit about your coaches and some of your peers that are in the team as well?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest, most famous MMA gyms in the world. I'm training at American Top Team Coconut Creek, it's home of the welterweight champ, Robbie Lawler, amongst some, pretty awesome fighters. I could rattle off about 50 names to you, all these, famous people in the UFC. Glover Teixeira goes and trains there.
Poirier's down there too now, right?
Yeah, Dustin Poirier, yeah. Gosh, so many. Isn't it funny? I can't think of them off the
I
top
see
of
the
my
pictures.
head.
How does it? Sorry, John.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the pictures, on your Twitter with the girls. You guys look like just a team of assassins. All the girls down there training at Coconut Creek.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut.
No, I was going to ask if they all train together.
Yeah, and I don't. You didn't tell me this. I think I heard from an outside source. But when you were training in Australia, it was really tough for them to find you proper sparring. Basically, I guess the question is, how beneficial is it to be around the best in the world now in terms of honing your skills and just evolving?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome being around, these girls, my other teammates. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of us as strawweights signed to the UFC, as well as, the number 1 contender in the women's bantamweight division, Amanda Nunes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty awesome training with these girls. But wherever you are, you make the most of it. Back in Australia, I had some pretty cool training partners. So you make the most of your situation wherever you are.
Awesome. Alex, just touching on your scholar side, you got a double degree in science. I don't even know what mechatronics is.
Yeah, man.
I think you could probably fly a spaceship or something.
You couldn't even pronounce it. Yeah, tell us about that.
Tell us a little bit about your double degree that you got from from Sydney.
Well, I got my science degree majoring in maths and physics. It was 6 years at university. I kind of got a bit tired by the end of it. I realized that martial arts was what I wanted to do with my life, whether it be through coaching or whether, be through whatever opportunity came up. I mean, obviously at the time I didn't think that the UFC was something that I could set my sights on. But I knew that I wanted to do something with martial arts. And so I didn't, I was competing overseas, and so I didn't end up finishing doing my thesis for my mechatronics degree.
Yes.
But it's all right. Science and physics, it was good.
Alex, so we always, I know we're always looking for things outside of, if we're talking to fighters, that extra stuff. I know you're a big fan of rescuing animals, specifically some really amazing beasts called greyhounds. Are you, is that something that you always had in you, that love for animals, or was that something that kind of as you got older, you went that route?
No, I've always loved animals. My sister's a vet. She's a veterinarian. We grew up with animals. My parents always had, we grew up with dogs and cats, and so we're always around animals. And I also, my aunt and uncle would take us to a farm every holidays. So I loved animals. And then when I was aware of greyhounds and greyhound racing and the opportunity to adopt ex-racing greyhounds, and I was committed to fighting whatever I was doing at the time, but the opportunity came up to rescue 2 greyhounds, and yeah.
Those are huge. I only bring it up because you see, it's always that metaphor. You see this really big dude, really big guy, and he has a little Lhasa Apso or Shih Tzu, and you see Alex walking around with 2. Dude, to see you walking through I think we were in Manly, and it was the first time I saw the dogs, and there's one's dark, one's light, and these things look like something out of a Canterbury Tales book. But yeah, I was just wondering. I get the opportunity now to ask questions that I know she wouldn't answer. That was all about me.
I think she's confused now.
Yeah, we've confused her.
Alex, as a pioneer for the women's side,
I think the point you're trying to make there is adopt, don't shop.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I think, yeah.
She got it.
I had to come far away to bring that back. I'm glad you're smart. I'm definitely not the smart one here.
Alex, as a pioneer for women's combat sports, Well, what advice would you give to young females that are looking to get into fighting or just even to training?
Find a good gym and good coaches. Surround yourself with people that are going to support you, and that's definitely through a good gym and through good coaches. And it's going to get tough at times. Follow your dream. Don't give up. Keep going, and that's where you'll see the opportunities starting to present themselves. If I had quit years ago, if I had stopped at any stage, whether it be when I, was injured or whether it was from someone telling me, you're a female, look how old you are, what are you doing with your life? There's no money in martial arts, this and that, then I would have never had the opportunity to fight to even have my first MMA fight, and then have the opportunity to sign to, fight for Brace, then the opportunity to sign for Invicta, and then obviously this massive opportunity to be part of the biggest MMA promotion in the world, the UFC.
That's
so
awesome.
You're going to have naysayers, you're going to have people that won't support you, but keep going. If you're passionate about something, then you will succeed. Follow your dream. Don't give up.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, Alex. So you've been a fighter. You write for, I think you mentioned Unibet Australia. I could see you, like, I've heard you speak about the fight. So like being talking about fights and coaching. Is there something that when you look at your legacy down the road, other than a fighter, that you feel that maybe you could see yourself transitioning into?
You mean into the analysis sort of side of things, or do you mean in terms of coaching or?
I guess I mean in like adding, we all talk about adding different layers to our, not being one dimensional. Maybe the question should be asked, if you weren't a fighter, if you never fought, with your, your knowledge of learning and education background, what else would you have seen like yourself doing?
I've always visioned opening up my own gym, and that was from the very start, from when I started karate when I was 8 years old. So that's definitely something that if I wasn't fighting, I would be I would be running my own gym. But I'm really enjoying having the opportunity, writing a blog for Unibet Australia, and it kind of like shows you another side of fighting and having to analyze certain fights and things like that, and certain fighters. As a fighter, it teaches you just I guess another way of thinking.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Alex, are you big on books or anything like that? Are you reading anything right now that might interest us?
I'm not reading anything at the moment. I should be. I have this long list of books that I've wanted to get into, especially, going through rehabilitation of an injury. I do read, certain quotes and little snippets of things when people, recommend them to me. But no, not reading anything at the moment.
You know what I always do? I'm the same way. Like I'll actually buy the book and put it on my nightstand because I know I want to read it. So I have like 5 books just sitting there. One's like Graham Hancock, but yeah, I guess you're aware, but it's tough to find the time, man. I think I have ADD. Maybe you do too.
I should do that. I should buy the book at least and put it on my nightstand.
That's what I do.
That would probably help.
Yeah, right. It's there, and then you have a paperweight as well.
Alex, you touched on your rehab. Online, I see that you're looking pretty good in rehab. Can you just tell us how your injury is coming along?
It's doing well. I think it's important when you're going through rehab not to compare it to anyone, to just kind of go with the flow of things and focus on what you can do. And I mean, I'm going well. I'm about 4 months post-op now into my rehab, which, is about halfway or maybe a little more. And at the moment, I'm just taking it a day at a time, doing what I can do.
Yeah, we were chatting last week with another fighter, and he was talking about his shoulder. He had shoulder surgery, and what worked for him was, like you just said, do what you can do. I think he was mentioning he was just focusing on his legs and just trying to stay active. Have you tried, since the surgery, have you messed around with any type of alternative therapies? Have you done any sort of like, I know the cryo chamber is popular now. You have your, your dry saunas, the infrared saunas, acupuncture. Have you mixed in any that type of stuff for your rehab?
I do have a sponsor, Pain Pod, which is that electromagnetic, the electromagnetic pulses, and I mean, I'm really lucky to have them as a sponsor because physiotherapists use that sort of that in my recovery sessions. So to have that tool at home, it's so easy to just put it on my knee and to increase blood flow, and which obviously helps with healing. It helps reduce the swelling, and so I guess that at the moment is my only kind of alternative therapy. If I was back in Australia, I'd definitely be getting my cousin to do some acupuncture on me, which she's done in my fight camps, and I really do believe that it does help.
Yeah.
Also, I guess just focusing on making sure you've got a cleanish diet. It's things like that. Obviously, I like to treat myself occasionally, but when I'm not training so hard, I don't want to be eating too much junk, so that my transition back into training and fight camp will be harder. So I'm making it as easy as possible by eating fairly clean and taking vitamins and things like that. Just the little things that can help with recovery.
Awesome. Just to get an insight onto how you train, Alex, when you're on your regular schedule away from injury, how many times a day would you train? Would you train on an empty stomach in the morning?
Depending what time the training session is in the morning, would determine whether or not I train on an empty stomach. But usually I don't like to train on an empty stomach. I do need to eat at least 2 hours before a training session. So that usually determines how I start my day. So if I have a training session at 10, then I know I've got to be up by, before 8 to have something to eat, to make sure that, it's digested enough to do a hard session in the morning. I train, I guess, at least 2 to 3 times a day. Whether if a session's really hard in the morning, then it'll be more skill work in the afternoon or evening, or depending how I feel, I adjust my schedule that way.
Okay.
So I might do 2 days of 2 days of hard sessions in the morning and the night, and then I might feel like I need to do a lighter session the next day, and then I can do a heavier session at night.
Cool,
It's
Alex.
just kind of, I adjust it that way.
So we ask a question to all of our guests to kind of try to put ourselves in your headspace. So if you had an opportunity to invite 5 people to a dinner party.
You still my question.
Yeah, stole the question. I slid it right under the door too. Yeah. So you could pick any 5 people. They don't have to be alive. Famous, non-famous. What 5 people would you pick to have dinner with?
Gosh, that's something that I, especially coming from a science background, I'd really want to think about. But you mean I don't have much time to think about? I've got to choose now.
Go for it.
You go for it.
Okay. Well, Albert Einstein. Who wouldn't want him at a dinner party?
Yep.
I get 5. Gosh. I don't know. Who have other people said? Give me some ideas.
Well, I'll give you some ideas. Who do we have?
We got Tyson. Tyson's come up a lot.
Yeah, I think Matt.
Oh.
I'll tell you our 5.
Matt-
My 5 was Will Smith, Eddie Murphy, Mike Tyson. I said Anthony Mundine, and who'd I pick? And Sylvester Stallone. And then who'd you pick?
I think for my five, because he asked me on the spot like this during, I think it was Matt Brown's interview, but it was tough for me as well. I think I went with Van Morrison was one of them. Shakespeare was one of them. There was another author. It's a tough one. But yeah, a lot of the fighters have been picking guys like Tyson was on the board. And then what did
Kevin Hart's been coming up a little.
Trujillo said it. I was expecting a scientist. That's why I wanted to ask her myself, because I wanted to see like.
Well, I'll tell you who else I'd have. Hilary Swank.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You know Hilary Swank, the actress who was
$1 Million Baby,
star
right?
of The Karate Kid,
Yeah.
number 4, $1 Million Baby. My gosh, I've got her on my Instagram, and she's really inspiring.
Yeah, and then she also did when I was in high school in the late '90s. She did that movie. Was it Boys Don't Cry? Or
About a boy, I don't know.
She
Boys Don't Cry. It could be that.
I think she was very controversial at the time because she played a woman who was attracted. I'm gonna butcher this. I think she played a woman who was attracted to a man, but she went through the process of becoming a man. Do you know this movie?
Oh, I do know the movie, but I don't actually think I've seen that one of hers.
Yeah, she is awesome, man. She would be an interesting conversation.
She's actually really positive, inspiring person. Check out her Instagram, and you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you're not off the hook. You got
three more.
You got 3 more, Alex.
Got 3 more.
Yep.
Am I allowed to choose?
You can't
someone
pick family or friends.
I can invite someone to dinner so I can choke them out, can't I?
Who are you choking out?
Yeah,
Alex?
How about Justin Bieber?
That's the first time you went you went reverse psychology with your pick. Let me pick someone so I can choke them out. All right, you got 3. You got the entertainment. You got 2 more.
Gosh, I don't know. It's 2 more.
Who would?
We could be here for hours.
I'm thinking Alex would. See, I was gonna say maybe an astrophysicist. So like Carl Sagan, I was gonna guess, or like what's the?
How about Scott Kelly, the astronaut? Then
There you go, Scott Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
No
Actually, did you post? Is Scott Kelly the one who posts? I think you put it on your social media a couple months ago. He put the video up of he was in space. Did you throw something up on him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I threw something up, but yeah, he's the one astronaut that's in space on the International Space Station at the moment.
I wonder how many other
going
people.
up there.
I wonder how many other people know
5
that.
minutes.
So
One more.
she doesn't got it. I
No,
was
she's got one more. She knows she wants to invite one more.
fighter. Go.
Johnny's waiting for an invite. He's not going.
Yeah, I'm not going. She wouldn't invite. She'd choke me out.
The guy who invented the Corvette. Then
Cool.
Oh yeah, you have a love for muscle cars, right? Didn't you used to build you like American muscle cars?
Yeah, I do like American muscle cars.
That's awesome. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing? Obviously, you're seeing a lot more down in South Florida. Are you getting?
I'll tell you what you see a lot of down in South Florida: Lamborghinis, Ferraris.
Yeah, those luxury cars.
And I'm talking. I'll see multiple Lamborghinis, Ferraris, top of the line Bentleys, every single day, multiple times.
Yeah.
Just insane. I even saw, what was that? It's like $1 million car I saw the other day.
There's $1 million car. I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Ferrari.
Like 800 grand or something.
Or maybe McLaren or something.
Yeah, I don't speak
Yeah,
car.
it was the McLaren.
Yeah, you speak car.
Awesome. What do you love most about being in Florida? Is it the weather?
The weather for sure.
Yeah. Because you're living close to Miami, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Miami, yeah.
So is Coconut Creek, is that a suburb of Miami?
So it's, I don't know if it's considered a suburb of Miami, but it's about, it's about 40 minutes out or so.
And is a gym like ATT, is that open to the public?
Yeah, I believe they do have classes for the public, yeah. Like a normal gym.
Okay, but you just can't go down there and wait for Robbie Lawler to exit the gym or Alex Chambers to get their autograph, can you?
I think by invite or request only if you're, I don't think they like people hanging around the pro class while they're training. You know, they're obviously there to focus on training.
Yeah,
but I think that you can, request to at a particular time. I'm not sure, like things like that. Make requests.
You're gonna.
I know what you're gonna do. He's gonna probably go outside the gym now. He's gonna be a picture of Johnny, and they're gonna ban you because you're gonna try and stalk Robbie Laura.
Yeah, and you're gonna go down there trying to stalk Alex. That's what I was gonna say. You gotta watch out for Tristan, man. Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Well, when are you guys down here in June or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think June.
Yeah, so we have one of our buddies is a sports science. Did you call him a sports scientist?
Yeah, Corey.
Yeah, Corey. He does work with one of your, I don't want to say rival gyms. Would they be a rival or the black?
They're mostly men.
I think the Blackzilians and ATT are rival gyms.
The show.
The Ultimate Fighter, Blackzilians versus ATT.
Somebody gets my sense of humor, which is horrible.
Actually, I've got another question.
Uh-oh.
Alex, have you ever wanted to put like Johnny in a chokehold or something?
No, we get along.
Mate, you don't.
Plenty of time.
She doesn't like me.
I've got the fifth person. I'll invite Johnny to the dinner.
There you go. Easy. So I could be made fun of. Dude, I remember I might as well throw it in there. Alex was talking about her nutrition and she spoils herself. I'm going to follow up with her spoiling with herself. After that huge win in Adelaide, we're walking from the hotel and we're in the streets, and it was very cool moment. Somebody comes up to her and says, "Hey, I'm a big fan, great win." Greg Jackson walks right by us. It's the middle of Adelaide. Nobody's in the streets. And where does Alex go for her first meal after that win? Where would you guess?
McDonald's.
Oh, she's so Aussie. The Aussies love McDonald's. I couldn't believe it. And then everybody I tell who's Aussie, they're like, "Oh, that's not."
You got to have a little treat, especially when you're like, God, you haven't been doing it for a while.
Yeah, man.
Actually, I've got a question for both of you. When was the first time you both met, and what did you think of each other?
I remember. Ironically, I'll answer first since I jumped in there because the first time I met Alex was actually I was visiting. It was before I moved to Australia, and it was a very pivotal moment in my life. It was my birthday. I just turned 30. We're in Manly, and I was with Eleni and the whole family. And she had walked in with the dogs after, but it was important for me because that was the experience I always talk about. Everybody, I had never been to Australia. Everybody's in shape. The guy making the coffee in Manly was in shape. All these people walking around with six packs. I hadn't worked out in 5 years, and that was the moment I told myself I was gonna get in the best shape of my life. And she came, I think, like an hour after. She probably tried having the dogs sick on me, but yeah, that's when I met her.
And what do you think?
I'm glad you jumped in first.
Exactly.
And Alex, you go for it.
Yeah. I don't think she needs to answer. She answered it for me. She doesn't remember.
She doesn't like you at all.
She doesn't like me.
I can't remember much.
Yeah.
She does, but she
Yeah,
just
man.
doesn't like you at all. What's next for 2016, Alex? Do you expect to be back second half of the year, or?
Yeah, I do expect to be back. Like I said, my rehab's going well. I'm about halfway through, so I obviously have to get cleared by my doctor and also by my team. And it's just something, I guess, that I'll know more when I get back into training, and kind of gauge how I feel from there. I'm not in too much of a rush, but I am. I want to feel fit and ready when I step back into the octagon. So I definitely foresee sometime this year, before, in the summer of this year. We'll have to see.
Excellent. And then, Alex, for all of our listeners listening, where could the people find you on social media? Where could they get a hold of you and support your journey?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all my social media accounts are at Alex Chambers MMA.
Yep.
So I would, I love to interact with my fans, and I'd love them to jump on board on one of the social media platforms and say hi and follow my journey back into the octagon.
That's
Definitely.
awesome.
Get out there, guys. Support our local girl.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the upcoming months, seeing you fighting again, and then getting you back on to chat about that journey. But yeah, keep it up, Alex. Stay persistent as well.
Thanks. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to chatting to you both again soon.
Most
Awesome.
definitely. We'll see you in June as well.
Yeah, have a good day, Alex.
Tell Robbie that Johnny's coming for him.
I'll introduce him.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, have a great one.
Cool, you too.
See you later,
Thanks.
Alex.
Yep.
Bye.
It's good to see a local girl doing well over there, overseas.
When this was all going down, I was we were at dinner at her aunt and uncle's house, and I'm talking about the call, from when Dana
Was actually Dana.
fucking called her, and
I just don't want to put her on the spot.
yeah,
Is it Dana?
and you got to
Calling?
really, and that was really cool, Alex coming on, because a lot of fighters have the same, they keep it within themselves. I think, their form of expression is the fight. So it's very rarely you'll see somebody throwing their whole life out there on blast, to be that type of person. Alex isn't that type of person. So, but it was interesting. I like that question, so I did steal it from you, the 5 people. And I knew she was going to say scientists. I mean, I wonder how many other fighters would even put somebody like that in there.
Yeah, most
there has
people
to be
just-
maybe a couple. I would say more coaches. I could see
I like the ones that I don't know.
yeah.
Makes me have a look who they are.
Dude, Justin Bieber to choke out. That's so funny.
Justin, maybe we should tag Justin in a post. Alex Chambers, Astro Girl's coming for you, mate.
Before I met Alex, I was told by her cousin that her, and I knew it was interesting. I was living in Las Vegas where I met her cousin, and she was telling me that her, Alex is a fighter. She's a pro fighter, fights in Invicta, and I already had heard of her. Because living in Vegas is the mecca of fighting, and a guy I worked with was a huge MMA fan. He knew all about women's MMA and Invicta, so we were watching the Invicta fights and watched her fight against Josie Escobar.
Yeah.
And Jody
She
Escobar.
was talking about her being undefeated.
Yeah, Escobar hasn't lost since that fight. She had a couple of huge wins. And the thing about Alex Chambers as well is she's a natural atom weight. And atom weight, for our Aussies listening out there,
What's that, 100 pounds, 110 pounds?
so you could answer this for me, because in pounds, an atom weight is 105 pounds.
So
She's fought her career in the UFC at straw weight at 115. So that's a 10-pound
Probably
difference.
looking about,
3 kilos, I think?
that's 46 kilos,
Yeah.
bottom weight. Top weight's probably about 49.
Yeah,
50.
And to even think that she's had success in the octagon at the highest level, fighting out of her weight class. A lot of times, fighting against girls, when they weigh in at 115. But Alex has to put on weight to make that 115 weight. So now you're fighting a girl.
Disadvantage straight away.
Oh, for sure. Curran, when she fought Kaylin in Adelaide, Kaylin looked huge, and Kaylin, early 20s, she was probably maybe 125 by the time they fought. Put that 10 pounds on, and Alex worked. It was, if you're a jiu-jitsu fan, watch that fight.
Yeah.
She worked her jiu-jitsu beautifully and ended up getting that submission.
Yeah, that finish was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was fight of the night.
It was fight of the night. She was up for the Fight of the Year awards with World MMA, nominated for comeback of the year.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be one of those hindsight 2020 things. I'm sure if you ask any fighter, boxer, UFC guy, mixed martial artist in their career, that what they think has their career lived up to their standards, I'm pretty sure a lot of them will say no, because you're still in it. It's hard for you to be able to and it's a life's metaphor, to be appreciative of things while they're happening. So people are saying be in the present, stay in the moment. But it sounds to me, talking with Alex a little bit, that she's starting to see, especially going to America, to see the effect that she's had.
It's opened up doors for it,
in
too.
her career. Because I was kind of shocked. I had just moved here when Alex got signed, and they announced the first Ultimate Fighter season. And I was just like, man, why isn't the Aussie media really, they weren't jumping on board on it?
Yeah, I think Australia's just catching up now.
Had
it been now,
Yeah.
I think there would have been a lot more support for Alex. because
I agree with
people
that
are seeing
too.
that it's not there's not just a little novelty anymore. It's the real deal.
Oh, it's definitely the real deal, and it's the way. It's not going anywhere. And then the list of, let's see, the first. She was, the first female fighter in the UFC, first female fighter from Australia in the UFC. I mean, first one to get a victory from Australia, first one to get a Fight of the Night performance.
Yeah.
Nominated Oh, we didn't even
No,
mention
she's got some amazing achievements.
the
like,
pay-per-view. So
just-
she was the first one in a pay-per-view main event, 191 against Paige, which she got injured in and lasted till the third. But yeah,
showed some great heart in that fight.
yeah, gritty. Chambers is very gritty.
Paige is very big.
Yeah, Paige is a huge 115, and it'll be I'm excited to see her rehab, get through it,
I
and
think she'll be better for the actual experience of getting injured. She'll probably be able to
injured.
go ahead and just see things in her own game that she needs to improve.
Like she
and
said.
that she's in the best team that she can get. so.
ATT. I like her perspective on writing. It was hard for me to word that specifically, but what I was getting at is, of all the titles, that question we asked, of all the titles, what do you like putting on yourself? Like, are you walking around thinking that you're a fighter?
Yeah.
Or are you walking around thinking that you're a thinker or an educator?
It's
Things
going
like
to be
that.
very interesting because she's like a caged lion right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because something's been taken away from her that she loves.
Yeah.
And now her next fight, she's going to be chopping at the bit to come back.
Yeah, it was really cool to see her after, I remember there was a fan that had gone up to her in Adelaide, and it was like still just all new. But being in America, being in Vegas, being around these other girls, that's had to be really good for her mindset.
Yeah, definitely.
Because those girls are really supportive. Like, we are the
It's
best.
good to get that perspective when she said that, that she gets along with all the girls and they all share. Because you don't know, do you? Because the
Did you-
rivalries between the different camps, you just think there might be like a bit of beef and they just stick to themselves. But it's good to see them all interact with each other.
Yeah, did you see the season? It was tough to. So she was in Ultimate Fighter season 20. All the girls, strawweight division, first ever time that had happened, and Carla Esperanza won the show. But they picked. It was very produced, and just like anything in Hollywood, they basically took. I think there were 16 girls in the house. I could be wrong, but there were only maybe 4 or 5 that got camera time, strictly because of their social media following.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very frustrating for somebody who
grow the, unfortunately,
it's business, right?
Business is business.
Yeah, man. You asked Alex what she was reading. What are you reading? You reading anything?
I was just finishing How to Win Friends and
Influence people.
I just got the last couple of chapters.
You finished it?
My sister bought me a book over Christmas that I've just opened. First 20 pages, which was good.
I'm-
It's called I'll get it for the next
Yeah.
episode. It's quite good. It's from Brazil.
Yeah.
It got reproduced, obviously, into English. But
I'm awful at finishing books. I'm great at starting them. I'm like, I have like 4 or 5 books that I've read a chapter here, and I won't, if it's not a novel, like, I don't like novels. I like reading things like philosophies and things like that. So I'll open a book to like the 13th chapter and read that one before I start the book.
well, if they put them all on audio, I could listen to them. I love listening.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't really like something in front of me.
Sitting there?
No.
I think that's the way of the future too. It's similar to our format here with the podcast, similar to
Something that you can do with other things while listening and taking something in. If you get what
But see, that's where I think we all need to work on is being grounded. Not grounded when you were a bad kid, but being still.
Yeah.
You don't always have. You're crazy. You don't always have to be doing multiple
I am.
things, man.
I always do about a million things.
Yeah, this
Try not
guy,
to do that.
Yeah, this,
You never relax.
It's really zero. The
Zero
guy.
relaxation.
Yeah, dude, that's. If you want to live a long, healthy, and successful life, do not relax. Tristan Cannell. No, you need to. Like, I went to, this past weekend, I went to float for the first time in like 8 weeks. And it was, man, it was so heavy. Like, you've gone a couple times, and you know what I mean by heavy.
Very heavy.
If you guys have never floated isolation tank sensory deprivation, check your local, center. It's usually going to be a healing or massage center, and definitely book one in. But what I mean by heavy is all these suppressed memories were coming to the forefront, and like ideas that I wanted to do and things I'm doing in my life that maybe I need to work on, things I want to do, and it wasn't all. And by the time I got out, man, it's just like the rest of the day I was worthless. I was so exhausted just because I've been such on the go and wired so rapidly as of late. I'm always doing this, writing for this, scheduling, training, helping, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And just to finally disconnect and detach from all of that and just be by myself, it was exhausting. It shows me that I need to get back in the tank soon.
Maybe
So
we have to do like a relaxation episode because
Oh,
that's something I struggle with.
you do, and we all do. And I think that if I was never around people who care about me, that made me aware of this a few years ago, I think that's what it took for me. Somebody to say really close to me, hey, you're not really looking out after yourself.
Yeah, that's
you're
your
working
health as well.
out.
Mental health is huge.
Yeah, it's very important. So that's something I've been really focusing on, and it's become part of my lifestyle now, but I struggle with it too.
Yeah.
And so I like doing the dry sauna, the infrared, the flow tank. I got some acupuncture last night on my shoulder, so things like that. The alternative methods is, I feel that people don't realize alternative practices, Eastern medicines, Chinese medicine have been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
This is the root of medicine. This has been known to prevent and to heal. It's only been in the last couple hundred years that we've flipped this light switch and gone towards, rather than healing and preventative, suppressing.
Yeah.
Pretending things. But
We
I
live
think
in the Western world, though.
it takes two to
convincing.
Yeah, but I think that it takes two. I think it takes both. You have to have you can't go one or the other full on. You have these people, oh, I only do this, or I only listen to this, or I only read. You kind of have to be open-minded with all things.
Cool. Guys, just remember, if you haven't yet, just if you could subscribe and just leave us a 5-star review. We'll continue to bring shows on and bring people like Alex on, and a lot of the other guests that we've got coming up as well. We've got some really high-profile guys to help share information, educate, and also inspire you out there. So just jump on quickly, especially if you're just listening now and you haven't done it yet. We'd really appreciate that.
I want to give a shout out to a client of mine I see on a weekly basis, Katrina McKenzie. Happy birthday! Way to rock and roll on your fitness goals. Keep on pushing forward, Dantatsu.
Happy birthday, Kat.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the gym, most definitely.
Yeah, K-Mac.
Guys, also, we want some fan questions, so send your questions to info@visionboardpodcast.com, or obviously on the Twitter handle, it's visionboardpod, correct?
Yeah,
Johnny?
Vision Board Pod. You could also send me them personally at johnny@therealfitcoach.com. A lot of people lately have been DMing me. If you're not in the Instagram lingo, direct messaging me on Instagram at _fitcoach.
Definitely. And me, Tristan, at tristancannellfitness.com. And, if you want to maybe, like Alex, maybe put put Johnny in a little armbar or anything like that.
Yeah.
Please send those suggestions through too.
Oh, dude, I'm awful. Definitely.
I reckon I might get a few
Yeah.
want to choke hold me.
Yeah, Tristan, man, I have a really awesome, unique, inept ability to make people feel comfortable. But yeah, definitely get a hold of us. Rate, subscribe, support the cause, support the movement. We're super excited. We're just getting started. We're not going anywhere. You get involved. We like keeping this interactive. We have these questions hidden throughout our feature. For instance, with Alex, I asked a question from a guest. I then will email the question to who it was from, and then it's kind of like our little hidden language. So that's something I enjoy doing. Tristan enjoys doing. It's the only way to do that. You got to get a hold of us.
Well, Johnny, that was awesome to get a little bit of insight into your family. So
Yeah, another example of how I am the least talented one in the room all the time.
I wouldn't say that.
Dude, in that family, without giving names, there is a pro fighter, there is a veterinarian, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, a chiropractor, a professor, teacher who helps. All these things are just ridiculous.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm
You
always.
help people too.
Yeah, you got to evolve. You got to be around people. It's that
Gotta be
circle.
around, yeah, good people. So,
Yeah, thanks a lot again, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Johnny, you have a nice day.
You do, TK.
See you, bro.
Peace.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.